Hey guys, Cam for 15, joined by my Uncle Daryl, and we are back to give early NFL final week recap as well as our wild card predictions going into next week. Um and yeah, now obviously this video is going up super late, but you guys will probably see this in the morning. But again, if you're wondering why my Uncle Daryl didn't show up on the Bears game recap, well, he went to bed for work.
I did, man. I was asleep. I live in Germany, so I get these games like ridiculously late. So, and like right now, it's 6:30 in the morning for me, where it's 8:30 in the evening for you. So,
Actually 9:30 right now.
9:30, yeah. So I mean, it's pretty much mid evening for you, but it's like early morning for me. So but I was able to try to keep up with some of the things that went on. It was just a long day. I'm bad. My bad. I'm sorry. It happened. And plus, I'm old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True
Yeah,
that.
I'm glad you agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I already did a video talking in depth about, well, I barely talked about the Bears game. I only just made a mention about a few things, which I'll talk about a bit, but I'm mostly in that Bears game recap. I mostly talk about the Bears getting the number one overall pick. Thank goodness I did it after the Texans somehow won the game. But next week we'll have a whole Bears season review and everything when we have time to record that. But hopefully next week, but we'll see. But anyways, a pretty exciting week with a lot of playoff implications going into week 18. So starting off the week, we had Saturday games. Kansas City versus the Vegas Raiders. Kansas City just easily defeated Vegas. It wasn't even
Don't
a
trust the Raiders. Don't trust the Raiders. Didn't trust the Raiders. And I won't trust the Raiders until I see something that says, the Raiders are actually pretty good.
yeah.
They did. It happened the way we expected, just a flat out tail kicking.
Yeah. With this win, the Chiefs end up securing the first pick, so they have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I think except unless they play the Bills or the Bengals, that will be held in some weird neutral site or something like that.
And
I
I
don't
agree with that too. I don't think the Chiefs should get the number one seed
yeah.
over the Bills and Bengals. You know, um, they shouldn't take advantage of what happened in that game. So I
Yeah.
do agree with that. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs agree with it as well too, or they probably agree with it. You know, in public and behind closed doors, they might have a problem with it, but who cares?
Yeah. I kind of wish they just the NFL just gave the Bills home field advantage, but it is what it is. Yeah, nothing really else to talk about this game. The next game was the Saturday night game, and oh brother, stupid Packer fans, I don't care. Um, Whatever. That is what it is. One of my former players who I coach football, he is a Packers fan, and I already put on my Instagram story, best night of my life. Well, one of the best nights of my life. So it
This
is what it
was
is.
if you're a Bears fan, this was a really great night. I mean, just we Lovey Smith, just true to Lovey Smith's, his soul. He goes down swinging, and they wind up winning. We get the number one pick overall. The Packers lose their shot to go to the playoffs. I mean, it was just fantastic. I just don't other I'm great.
Yep.
I'm great.
Yep. This next Saturday game was Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville ends up coming back late thanks to a Josh Allen pick six, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
And they end up winning the game, and that was just a crucial backbreaking, interception made by Josh Dobbs.
Josh
I thought the
Dobbs.
Tennessee Titans they played pretty well. Josh Dobbs I thought had another solid outing. He just made a
Mm-hmm.
few mistakes, and then even on the last play, it looks like the Titans were actually driving to maybe at least go take the lead and win the game, and just
Yeah.
send Jacksonville upset, but for some odd reason, it's 4th and 16 or 4th and long, and he checked it down to the running back end. I loved how on the broadcast, Troy Aikman made the point, well, if Josh, he had a good pocket. If Josh Dobbs held in a bit more, he would have had the wide receiver, I forgot the wide receiver they drafted out of Arkansas, is literally running down the middle of the field. If he had stayed in there, he could have thrown it right there, and he would have picked up the first
Correct.
down.
Correct. He
Um,
just basically freaked out.
yeah,
He just basically freaked out because the pocket was collapsing. And, Is he young quarterback, man? I mean,
Well, he's not
young.
technically young. I would say
Well,
he doesn't have enough experience.
well, okay. Let's just say he's. I mean, he ain't 30.
Yeah.
So I mean, still relatively young quarterback who has no experience. He's played well up to that particular point, although Derrick Henry did take the pressure off him with 30 carries and over 100 yards.
Yep.
So, but yeah, man, it was a simple player mistake of someone his experience, but he checked it down, chose wrong,
Yep.
lost the game.
Yeah.
Now this does say a lot for me moving forward about what they do with Josh Dobbs in the future, because the last two games he played very well.
Yeah.
I was actually impressed with him very well. They just need
Yeah.
to tune a couple other things.
Yeah. Tennessee Titans ways, I think they're definitely going to be in the services of looking for a quarterback because I don't think Tannehill will do them enough. And even with Josh Dobbs, he's a pretty nice stopgap, but he's not going to take you the distance, to be honest. They need that legit quarterback dude. And right now they're kind of stuck with where they're at right now. And
Correct.
It's kind of an epic fail or epic flop by the Titans. They had the division and then they just went on a huge losing streak and practically lost out. And they lost the opportunity. In terms of the Jaguars,
7 games in a row, man. You end the year on any kind of streak, winning or losing. It can really, uplift you to the Super Bowl like it did with the Giants one year with Jim Fossil, or it can basically send you in a tailspin. Now they've held their hand to Ryan Tannehill for years with nothing to show for it, really. So they should have made this quarterback. They should make this quarterback move and should have made this quarterback move years ago.
Yep. And Malik Willis, so far, albeit he's a rookie, he doesn't look promising.
No, he really does not look promising at all. I mean, and it's still the same stuff, man. Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right. Quarterback just checks it down to a bunch of receivers who are 2s and 3s. And then when they had number one wide receivers, man, they wouldn't really use them a lot. They'd still do Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right. And, wide receivers, like A.J. Brown.
They had him. They traded him away. That's why
they had him and traded him away. So, but,
Yep.
We'll see what Mike Vrabel does.
Yeah.
You don't seem to think he's in any kind of trouble. On the other hand, I think people are gonna be looking at him some kind of way, but we'll see.
Yeah. As for Jacksonville, it's actually a really good win for them. And to be honest, they made a lot of mistakes in this game. There was a part when they drove all the way down the field. Trevor Lawrence missed a wide open, I think it was Zay Jones, wide open, right?
Yeah.
There in the back of the end zone, missed him. And you would think, oh, that's going to be like some sort of back-breaking play that is just like, it's going to kill them. But you were just waiting. When was Jacksonville going to have that one big play? Their offense was keeping them in the game, but the defense was like, okay, they need a good stop for once. And obviously, they did get that stop in the interception return for a touchdown. That was practically the game right then and there for them.
Yeah.
And that just gave them the energy. So credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars. After what happened to them last year of the Urban Meyer situation, going from one of the worst teams, if not the worst team, I believe, to now literally them being division winners is another example of a team being literally one of the worst teams in the league, going from worst to one of the best teams in the league. And again, Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, they got a bright future. It's one of the many examples of a team that was bad that they can turn their season around in one season. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. It takes a little bit of time, but credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They secured a playoff spot. They won their division. I think Jacksonville will honestly be running the division because if you look at the AFC South, it's kind of in a bunch of turmoil. The Colts, we don't know what the heck they're doing. We're about to talk about the Texans. And then even the Titans, they're kind of like, it's kind of the thing. But you can see Jacksonville will more than likely be dominant for that division until somebody else in that division wakes up.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, 3-14 last year, 9-8 this year. And then on top of that, we did say it coming into this football year, we both said it. There are two teams in which we are really looking forward to watching. One was Jacksonville and one was Detroit. And they both wound up 9-8 and looked really good this year. Yeah. So with the AFC South, 3 of those teams spiraling down and the Jacksonville Jaguars spiraling up, I mean, Jacksonville is going to be a team that, it's going to be pretty good moving forward. So, you know, they could. I mean, they got to tweak a couple things. The defense for one, but it looked decently good against an inferior offensive opponent. Obviously, tweak some things with Lawrence. Maybe get him another wide out. And
Definitely got to get him a legit number one dude.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
Zay Jones.
they got Ridley. Ridley's coming back next year for them.
Ridley's coming back. Ridley's not a number one though. I mean, Zay Jones is good, but I mean, to get a true number one, like how Philadelphia got AJ Brown. I mean, if they can get someone like that, then we can probably see Jacksonville Jaguars stepping up into that area where the Chiefs and Bills are. But
yeah,
they're on their way for sure.
Yeah. One more thing, I was wrong about Christian Kirk. He actually showed up. He had a great season this year. Like
he did.
He had I think I saw a tweet. He actually pretty much had career highs in every statistical category for him. So people criticize.
You said something negative about Christian Kirk?
Yeah, we said he was overpaid.
Well, we said he was overpaid, but we said he couldn't play. We never said he couldn't play.
I mean, I thought he was overpaid for what the Jaguars were offering, but
he's overpaid based on his production of years past. But we never said Christian Kirk couldn't play.
Oh yeah.
The dude can play, just like he just needed a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he just didn't have that guy in Kyler Murray. And now he's got that guy, whereas he can stand up in the pocket, survey your defense, go through all the progressions, and find the right guy at the right time. But so no, I mean, I don't think we said anything wrong about Christian Kirk, the football player. We said something about Christian Kirk's money, which.
Yep. Moving on to the Sunday slate of games. The Minnesota Vikings played the Chicago Bears. Again, I didn't really talk about it in my game recap, but simple as this. The Minnesota Vikings had their way with the Bears. The Bears pretty much, they're in taking mode. They literally played Peterman, and then at some point they rotated with Tim Boyle. Simple as that. Nothing else came out of it that was anything of importance. The Bears were just hoping that the Colts did them a favor, and we'll talk about that when we get to the game. Only kind of big talking point for me as a Bears fan that I didn't like from the game was Duke Shelley. I guess I just stopped watching it like the 3-minute mark because I knew the game was over. I guess Duke Shelley intercepted either Peterman or Boyle, whatever. And if you don't know who Duke Shelley is, he actually used to play for the Bears. Apparently this guy, I guess, got the interception, went up to the logo on the field, I guess spiked the ball or did something on the field, and I guess in a way taunted. And then I guess I see on Twitter, he's like, oh, I'm finally happy that I beat the team that gave up on me. And I'm like, wait, we gave you like 4 years here and you were a scrub. What the hell are you talking about?
Duke Shelley. So now all of a sudden he is this great cornerback.
He still gets cooked with Minnesota. I can understand wanting to have a vendetta against Chicago, but Chicago gave you 4 good years, and
then on top of that, he intercepted our third or our fourth string quarterback. I'm like, come on, man! You couldn't tell the Bears were tanking. Like, dude, really? You couldn't tell the Bears were tanking, and now all of a sudden you want to get on this big high horse like you are all pro cornerback.
I made a tweet on my Twitter page. I said he's going to get his eventually. Of
course he is. He a middle of the road cornerback. He gonna move on to somebody else. I mean, think about it. He had his moment right here, but when he gets to the playoffs and he gets toasted by somebody, then they're gonna wind up cutting him because eventually it's gonna happen. He gonna get toasted by somebody.
Well, they play the Giants. Leave it at that.
And the Giants are good enough to beat them.
They almost beat them last time.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Falcons at Buccaneers. Nothing else to talk about. Absolute blowout. The Falcons win. So they get some moral victory to end off their season. Tom Brady played a bit until like halftime or something, then they put in the backups. Simple as that.
Yep. And they beat that. Yeah, they beat the brakes off of them.
Yep. A pretty good game here. It was the Bills and the Patriots. I think the biggest point of this game was just the 2 kickoff returns by Nyheim Hines, especially just to start the game off. When I saw the the kickoff, and he takes it back for a touchdown. I was like, there is absolutely no way this just happened. After everything that happened,
I was saying there's absolutely no way that after that, there's no way the Patriots are winning this game. And that was right after the kickoff. I was like, there is no way. Bills are too jacked up on emotion and adrenaline based on what happened to their family member, Hamlin, that there's no way the Bills are going to lose this game.
No, they didn't. New England, to its credit, they obviously made a game out of games, but Mac Jones, he made some mistakes. Bills took advantage of those mistakes. They managed to get up 2 scores, and by then it's already kind of too late. That's kind of it for the Bills. They end up clinching the 2nd seed, so they're moving on to the playoffs. As for the Patriots, I don't really know. I would have talked to my boy Matt. I would say a start is firing Matt Patricia as your offensive coordinator, and even Joe Judge as well. But maybe Belichick doesn't want to do that because he's kind of, I'm so smart, I can do this and everything. But for the Patriots, they kind of had a down year from the aspect, they made the playoffs and they were pretty dominant. Well, I wouldn't say dominant, but they won convincingly enough to get into the playoffs this year. They had it, but they lost it. So,
well, I mean, everyone wanted to know. Everyone wanted to know who was more important to the Patriots dynasty, Brady or Belichick.
There's your answer. So far, Vader's already got 1 chip post New England.
Yep, and 2 playoff appearances, or was it 3?
I think it's going to be 3 now.
It's 3 now. 3 playoff appearances since Brady left for the Buccaneers, and 1 playoff appearance for the Patriots.
Yep.
And on top of that, they were pretty much hanging around the 500.
Yeah.
The entire time Brady was gone.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, man. I mean, you can be a great coach, you can be, but if you don't have a great quarterback, come on, man, it ain't happening.
Yeah,
it ain't happening. I mean, so I say right now, let's just move on. I think that conversation's done and dead. Belichick needs to change his thinking and get him a quarterback.
Oh, Mac really? Jones, you gave up on Mac Jones? You're giving up on Mac Jones already? After 2 years?
No, I'm not giving up on him. But it's one thing that I think Belichick won't do is he is not, because I think he's also the in facto GM as well, too. He doesn't seem to want to load up his offense with really good players. He doesn't really seem to want to do that.
Yeah.
So if you can't give your quarterback, solid wideouts and solid, then it just won't happen.
Yeah. And Jacoby Myers, he's hitting free agency.
Yeah, it won't happen. Yep.
Next game, Bengals or Ravens at Bengals. Bengals pretty much beat the Ravens. Simple as that. Nothing else to say. They're gonna play again in the playoffs. Now the only question is, we'll give a prediction. And the question is Lamar Jackson gonna play? He hasn't practiced at all, and I think he's just saying to the Ravens, I want my money. I want my money. And
do you honestly think he will not play in the playoffs just to make a statement or a point about his money?
If he does not play in the wildcard game this upcoming weekend, you can easily tell, he wants his money, and he's not.
No, I agree with you there. My question is, do you think he will do that?
I wouldn't envision
it. For me, if I want to sign you to a long-term contract, and I'm not the Ravens, I'm some other team, Miami, what have you, then why would I expect you to do me different than you doing the Ravens?
It's a good question.
So I would say you're in the playoffs, play.
Yeah.
You're in the playoffs, play your tail off. Short of, you having a career-threatening injury, career-threatening now, not just, let's just say, a knee injury or anything like that. Career-threatening, he going to get his money.
Yeah.
He going to get his money.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out what the whole thing is, but he hasn't practiced for a long, long time since he got hurt, but we'll see. We'll see.
That's correct. But at the same time, though, from my understanding of the knee injury he had, the length of time that he spent out is adequate enough for him to come back first game of the playoffs.
Yep. We get one of the craziest games this weekend, and that was the Texans versus the Colts. I literally, honestly, I had like dozens of screens all over. I had my laptop streaming that game. My TV had the Bears game. My phone had the Patriots Bills game. Then I had obviously the Browns Steelers game on my other iPad or whatever. So I had 4 screens going on one time, but mostly my eyes were glued to the Texans game because I needed to see, are these guys going to let me get that first pick for the Bears? Texans start out hot. They get a touchdown. They go right down the field, score a touchdown. Then Colts get a kickoff, fumble it. Texans recover it. They kick a field goal. They're up 10-0. They're actually doing pretty good. They have a good chunk of the lead. Yeah, even though the Colts are catching up in the score. Eventually, there's one drive where they go up 24-10, I believe. And I'm like, okay, just play good defense, maybe get one more score and put the Colts out of the misery. Then Davis Mills decides to be Davis Mills.
Davis Mills.
He throws one interception that ends up being a pick 6 to make it 24-17. Then, next thing you know, he ends up freaking somehow throwing another pick that leads to another touchdown that gives the Colts the lead. And I'm just like, oh, are you serious? They're gonna lose this game because Davis effing Mills, man. They're selling now. And I practically gave them this game when I saw the Colts end up driving, and I'm like, they're just running out this clock. They're just gonna get one measly point. They end up getting the field goal on this one drive where they killed a good chunk of time. And I'm like, the game's over. I'm just gonna turn this off. We're gonna be stuck with the second pick. I turn away from this game. Next thing you know, only a few minutes pass later, I go on Twitter and I see someone's tweeting like, oh, holy crap. The Texans just did the unbelievable. They pulled off a 4th and 20. They somehow got a touchdown out of it. I'm like, wait, what? So I go back, rewatch the play. Somehow, some way, Davis Mills just throws it up for dear life. The Colts player, it literally goes right through his hands into the Texans player. Catches the ball on a 4th and 20 for the touchdown. They go for 2, and they get the 2-point conversion. They take the lead 32-31. So that's when the Colts are driving. I'm watching the game with my dad, and we're seeing, are the Bears going to get this pick? Are the Bears going to get this pick? And it looks like the Colts are starting to drive, but then Sam Ehlinger throws a little bit of inaccurate passes to the point they had barely any time left on the clock. They had to throw a Hail Mary. They throw the Hail Mary. It gets batted down by the Texans. Colts end up losing this game. Texans win. Texans lose their chance at the first round pick. They drop down to number 2. The Bears go up to number 1. And now absolute mayhem. Now, if you checked out my Bears recap, I said with this alone, the Bears practically control the draft whatsoever now. Because we know these teams are going to go up and they might want to be asking what the heck the haul is. Now, just draft perspective wise, in terms of what the Bears could do, if they feel like they don't hit on free agency enough, they can say, we're going to stay put at 1 and just take one of these good defensive players, whether it's Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. I'll take either or. I have to wait a bit more to see, what I'd rather like. I can understand going Carter. I can also understand wanting to go Anderson because you might need a pass rusher because Gibson hasn't been doing it this year for you. And then even, Robinson, he's kind of a raw prospect, but either or, they can both rush the passer and everything. Bears, like I made mention in that video, they can also trade back. Maybe the Texans like, okay, as much as we don't want to, we'll trade up with you. You can get a haul from the Texans. And I guess I also heard that maybe the Texans might be potentially, letting Laramie Tunsil go. Maybe you say, hey, we'll trade you a pick if you give us a good number of picks, and maybe you give us Tunsil. And that gives you maybe a tackle right then and there that you could use. Bunch of other trades you could do, the Bears could do with other teams and trade back. And also with the way the board plays out, the Bears can honestly trade back a few more times, like at least 2 times in the draft, and they could still probably end up with Carter or Anderson. And that's if maybe they trade back with the Texans, and even then they can move back one more spot with another team that's it within the top 4 that needs a quarterback. I forgot what the other team was. But if anything, you move down to number 3 or number 4, at least you can say, okay, Carter Anderson, maybe one of them is taken, but maybe the other guy is still there on the board, and you can take him right then. And you can still get a massive haul of draft picks, which is absolutely funny because the whole headlines is, oh, Claypool was now a first-round pick. They traded him for a first-round pick. I'm like, nah, dude, they traded him for a second-round pick, and they can recuperate that second-round pick they traded for Claypool and get it back to them. So
Correct.
that's kind of my quick thing. Your thoughts on everything that played out?
Historically, the Bears have only had the number 1 draft pick twice. So from this is something that we
only one time in the team history.
Well, I thought it was twice, but
okay.
But this is something that we haven't seen in our lifetimes. The Bears having the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So what they do with it is going to be very important to the future and what they try to do with this pick. Ryan Poles is in a huge position to either put this pick in a spot, whereas we can make sure that we line up the franchise for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
So whether it be traded down or draft a player, I mean, everyone is going to have that debate. My personal feeling is to trade it down.
Yep.
Which it's very rare that I've seen the number 1 pick traded down. I'll say that it's very rare, but it can happen.
Yep.
We've seen picks traded down for, 5, 6, 7 picks. We've seen that.
Yep.
So we'll see what the Bears tend to do with it. Because I mean, if they're looking for a pass rusher, I think there's going to be a slew of pass rushers we can probably get in the second round. So my personal feeling is trade it down. Let's get extra picks because we have holes everywhere. Offensive, defensive line, we have holes everywhere. So is there a generational talent at number 1? I personally have not seen that. Can Jalen Carter or Will Anderson be that generational talent for the Bears? Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, can they be that generational talent for someone else? We'll see. But my personal feeling is I would hope that they would trade it down.
Yeah. I think they're going to trade it down. It makes sense. They already got the quarterback, what they think is the franchise quarterback. They got NFL leading cap space. They got everything in the cards playing for them. And I know I'm a Bears fan. I'm just looking at it on the outside.
And however, let's also keep this in mind as well, too. Justin Fields is going to the 3rd year of his contract. Now, kid, the way the NFL that rookie contract works, the first 4 years are, for the most part, the first 4 years they pay you for, and then there's a 5th-year option.
Yep.
At an inflated rate over the 4th year. So, is it safe to say that Poles feels that Fields is our guy for the next 3 years? Don't know. We just don't know. 3 years, and then after that 5th year, then
you gotta pay him.
So, could the Bears be interested in making sure they have a backup plan just in case?
Could be. I think that depends. I think it definitely depends.
But they won't do it with that number 1 pick.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it with that number 1 pick. So I can say we'll see moving forward, but it's going to be really interesting to see how Ryan Poles finagles this first pick.
Yeah, I already said in my Bears recap, it's on Poles. I've already said, with the whole Field situation, if he doesn't show up, if he doesn't look impressive going to his 3rd year, that will be enough time to show, like, okay, maybe he's not the guy. But we'll move on from that.
You won't know.
Yeah.
You won't know until you put talent around this guy. Yeah. And for the first couple of years, he has no talent. The second year, they did kind of improve the wide receiver core a little bit to the point whereas you could probably get an inkling of what he could do with the football via the pass. We know what he can do via the run, but guys got hurt, Fields didn't regress, but at the same time, though, he really showed that he had issues, trying to pass to guys other than Mooney, and he just after Mooney went down,
Yeah.
it was a problem.
Yep. Moving on, Jets at the Dolphins. The
Great
Dolphins
game.
and
It was a great game.
oh yeah, it was a back and forth close game. I didn't catch most of this game. I only saw the end. Dolphins
Yeah.
end up driving down with their third string quarterback, Skylar Thompson. They saved their season. They're ending up going to the playoffs because the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they won, Dolphins beat them early in the season. And then obviously with the Patriots losing, that pretty much clinched their spot. So
Correct.
they got in by the skin of their teeth. So in a way, they kind of backed in, but it is what it is. I found it funny that Sauce Gardner said, we'll be in the playoffs next year. And I'm just like, well, get yourself a quarterback next year, and then we'll talk.
Quarterback, draft a quarterback. You might be able to do something, so we'll see. The Jets defense is really good. The Jets offense, on the other hand, once they get a quarterback, I think you can probably see what they can do as an offensive unit. When Mike White played well, you really did see that there were inklings that this offense could propel itself to the next stage of development. But, they just were not consistent at the quarterback position.
Yep. Panthers Saints. Panthers won. Didn't see a look at this game, so I don't care. Simple as that.
Was it 10-7, 14-7, something like that? It was a really
yeah. Browns
both of them need a quarterback too.
Yep. Browns at the Steelers. Steelers, they end up winning. The one thing is Mike Tomlin has a winning season, but because the Dolphins also won, they end up missing the playoffs because of it, because they lost to the Dolphins earlier in the season on Sunday Night Football. Both these two teams, I guess you could say they have promising futures. I definitely do think the Steelers have a promising future with Kenny Pickett. Actually, at first he did struggle a bit, and you could throw some questions, but really ending off the year, he really did show me a lot, and I really am liking what I'm seeing out of Kenny Pickett. So it looks like he's definitely going to be their franchise quarterback for the future, as long as he stays healthy and he doesn't get enough concussions. But he did change the helmet to the type of helmet where it lessens the chance of getting a concussion. But that Pickett to Pickens, there was one catch Pickens made. It was absolutely crazy. But definitely, Mike Tomlin has a lot of trust in Pickett. It's now starting to look like Mitch Trubisky. The money you gave him was freaking a waste of money, so you might as well just cut him next year, going to the offseason. But hey, I'm definitely gonna like what I'm seeing out of Pittsburgh. AFC North, it's gonna be definitely a solid division right then and there. Now, that is if Lamar Jackson stays in the division. If he leaves,
I don't think he will. I think he's gone. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're gonna be one of them teams next year that everyone's gonna be raving about, because Tomlin can do defense. He can coach defense, and he can motivate the offensive team enough for them to, hey, let's go ahead and get out there and get it done. Tomlin is one of the better coaches in the football league. So, and just like we said before, if you got a quarterback, your chances of winning are increased, in my opinion, about 50%. As long as you got that guy, that signal caller, you got a good chance to win some football games. And next year, with the experience that Kenny Pickett has coming into next year, Pittsburgh is going to be one of them teams to look out for. They might just have to go get them an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Because the Pittsburgh fans, from what I'm told, don't really care for Matt Canada. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I'm really liking the Pittsburgh Steelers next year.
Yeah. The Browns, I think we'll see where that goes. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, that whole thing, hopefully, just my personal opinion, he keeps it in his pants. Simple as that. Don't make.
And from a football standpoint, he needs a full year under Kevin Stefanski.
Yep.
Once he gets a full year under Kevin Stefanski, I think he'll be fine. But yeah, all that off the field stuff, yeah, man, he just got to 86 that stuff and move on. Just 86 that stuff. And yeah.
I will say the one thing too this year, even though he played, I understand he's coming back, he did turn the ball over a lot. He had 2 interceptions this game. Definitely got to be better with taking care of the football. So,
like I say, he needs a full year under Stefanski. Once he gets that year under Stefanski and he can start to do some of the things Stefanski wants him to do, then I think he'll be fine. Stefanski is a big proponent of running the football, play action, football, which is right up his wheelhouse. So, yeah, I think he'll be fine once he gets that full year under Stefanski.
Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot one more thing about the Texans. Actually, I forgot. So obviously, a few hours ago, or about an hour or two ago, Texans fired Lovie Smith. Now there was rumblings before the game that they were going to just potentially fire him and maybe the GM, but they got the alert today. They fired him. Look, I'm just going to be honest. I understand. I don't understand. I don't understand why they fired him. I understand why maybe the front office and the owner might be upset because you had the first round pick and then you won a meaningless game. But can you really blame that on the coach and the players because they just can't lie down and just say, "Oh, I'm going to miss a tackle on purpose." They're going to go out there and going to try to win a game. This is a really bad look on the Houston Texans. Not all, and what I mean by that is last year they had David Culley. They fired him within a year, and they were a bad team last year, and they had a high pick. This year, they have Lovie Smith, who was on David Culley's staff. They promote him to head coach, and only in one season, they then fire him. Whether that they fired him because they just said, he's not the guy for us, or they fired him because, he lost the first overall pick. That's a really bad business, and it kind of goes out to this case that maybe the Texans owners and the management there is a little bit racist because they fired 2 black head coaches and they only got them 1 season each. And then how much is that going to feel for the players when guess what? They're going to have to learn a whole new system again for the third straight year.
Again, have a whole new quarterback again because they'll be drafting a quarterback.
Yep.
And then we'll wind up doing this again. Now, it would be funny to me if they happen to hire a coach who happens to be white and they do the same thing next year and they don't fire him. So we'll see where that goes. But it's the Texans have built up a nice reputation for this type of business, especially when it comes to players and coaches who happen to be African American. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. But I can tell you, Lovie Smith don't like losing. It's just that simple. Lovie don't like losing. And, it's going to be interesting how this plays out next year if they happen to, get a head coach that, falls in line with whatever the Texans wants to do. So we'll see.
Yep.
But bad look for the Texans.
Yeah, definitely bad look. We'll be back. Again, we're running out of time, but we'll be back and we'll talk about the last bit of games and then give our wild card predictions. So till then, guys, we'll see you in a quick second. Okay, so we're back. Oh, I forgot to make a mention. In terms of the record-wise, it doesn't really matter, but I'm 6-4. My uncle is 8-2. Going on, Broncos, Chargers game. Now, with the fact that the Baltimore Ravens lost, the Chargers locked up the 5th seed. Now, the one question I heard from other Charger fans, in one of my Clippers group chat, he's a Chargers fan as well. He was wondering why the heck were the starters playing? And every time when you're a playoff team and you play your starters in a meaningless football game, you run the risk of getting hurt. Mike Williams ended up getting hurt, and I guess he was, when he was able to limp off, but then he got carted into the locker room. You're playing Jacksonville. I don't know if that's good. I think Joey Bosa, he ended up getting a little bit nicked up. What the heck are they doing?
Again, and we talked about this at the beginning of the football year, that the one team that cannot afford any injuries was the Los Angeles Chargers because they are just not deep at any positions. They can't afford it. Mike Williams was hurt early this year. Joey Bosa was hurt for a good portion of the football season. And once all these players started getting hurt, they started losing football games. So we were talking about Staley's job as head coach. But me personally, I probably would have tanked the game. Yeah. You already got the playoff spot.
Yeah, they clinched the 5th seed. So
yeah, tank the spot. Tank it. Granted, the Ravens, if they would have won their game, they would have gotten the 5th spot. But at this particular moment, does it matter? maybe considering who the top three are, but
They're already locked because the Ravens played the early day game.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, but then, man, I would have once I would have figured out the Ravens lost, I would have tanked it.
Don't know what Brandon Saylor was doing, but he better hope that doesn't come to bite them in the Jaguars game.
I don't know. I don't know because I know I would have tanked it knowing that the Ravens lost.
Yeah,
I would have played all those Rudy Poots.
Yeah. The Broncos end up winning this game, so they get a nice little moral victory going into what the hell ever was their season. If it was me, first things first, they got to go find a new coach. What they might do, Russell Wilson, they might make him a June, post June first cut or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'd have to look it over the cap to see how that's going to hurt their cap status, but that's possible. But they are talking about there are reports that Sean Payton is interested in the job, so we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of a thing there. Now if they do cut Russell Wilson, well, then who the heck their quarterback going to be? That's the thing.
And then on top, they don't have a first rounder, do they?
Nope, they traded away to Seattle. Seattle gets the first rounder.
Seattle gets that first rounder, so Seattle will be drafting quarterback. I'm pretty sure if Stroud.
I don't know. They made the playoffs with Geno Smith.
I can't see them coming into the next with Geno Smith. You can get away with him one year. I don't think you can get away with him 2 years in a row.
Knowing Pete Carroll, if he wants to spite Russell Wilson and everything, plus the fact that Geno Smith, he also is now the Seahawks leading passer in terms of passing yards in a season. He overpassed Russell Wilson. I feel like knowing Pete Carroll's personality, he's going to go defensive guy.
Maybe.
That's just me.
Maybe. I just don't think you can get away with Geno Smith 2 years in a row. I don't think you can.
That's true.
I really don't. I don't think you can. I mean, you got a stud at wide receiver. Yeah, actually 2 studs at wide receiver, and they barely got in. So they could go defense, but I think eventually you're going to tune up that quarterback position in Seattle.
And we'll see. Broncos, they got a nice little moral victory. It's at least a good thing to end their season off in some good light. But yeah, they got a lot of answers they got to answer for. Whoever they hire as their head coach, let's just say he's going to be on the hottest seat because he's going to have to expect, especially if they keep Russell Wilson, he's going to be expected to turn this around in one season because
unless it's Sean Payton. If it's Sean Payton, then I think he'll get some leeway because he is a Super Bowl winning head coach. So it just really depends on who the head coach is.
Well, the reason why I say I don't think the Broncos are going to get Sean Payton is because he's technically still under the Saints contract, they would have to trade for him. And I don't think.
Well, yeah, that's true too. That's true too. And right now, the Broncos don't have any draft capital, and they don't have any draft capital. So, but like I said, who knows? Yeah. Who knows? One thing I can tell you that in the NFL, anything can happen, especially in the offseason. So we'll see. The Saints did give permission for the Broncos to speak to Peyton. But again, you are right. And they probably did knowing that, hey, we want this pick. We want that pick. We want future picks. So, yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. And you would have to imagine that the Saints would hope that Sean Payton goes to an AFC team, not an NFC team.
So that's true too. So, but again, we'll see.
Yep. Moving on, the Eagles versus the Giants. Giants, they pretty much conceded that, we're already in the playoffs, so we're not going to get nobody hurt. They played pretty much Davis Webb. Eagles came back. Jalen Hurts came back. They pretty much won the game. They clinched the first seed. So NFC playoffs run through Philadelphia.
Yep. So I don't really see any team going through I'm not really crazy about any NFC team right now.
Yeah.
I'm really not even the Niners. I want to see Brock Purdy play against some solid competition. The Eagles are limping into the playoffs. The Cowboys got blasted by the Commanders. I'm pretty sure we'll get to that in a second. And I mean, I'm not really the Buccaneers coming to the playoffs as a division winner under 500. So I'm not really sold on any NFC team at this particular moment.
Yeah. We'll see. Cardinals at 49ers. 49ers blow out the Cardinals. Only big thing about this game is that this was JJ Watt's officially last football game he played. JJ Watt was a great football player, not only for the Texans, but he did some nice things for Arizona. It sucks that he can't go out trying to go out in the playoffs, but he was a great player, great defensive player. Nothing else you can take away from
Hall of Fame player. I don't think he's gone just yet. I honestly think that he's gonna come back with somebody.
You think he's really?
I think he's gonna come back with some. I think he's gonna do a Tom Brady. That's just my personal feeling. I have nothing to support it, but you know, I just personally think he's gonna come back somewhere.
I think he's done. I think especially after the DeMar Hamlin situation, I think with the fact that he also has a newborn child.
That's true.
I don't blame him on wanting to call it a career. I don't know if his wife still plays soccer for the Chicago women's soccer team out here in Chicago. So, maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, he could do, just stay away, as we've seen some players do when they retire, but we'll see.
Yep.
Family does take a really good priority, as it should.
Yep.
As it should. When you play a collision sport like football, you start thinking about the more important things in life.
Yeah. The next game, it was a pretty entertaining game because this game went to overtime. The Seattle Seahawks, they managed to keep their playoff lives alive by beating the Rams. The Rams tried to play spoiler, but no, they didn't. They were driving on the Seattle last drive. They were driving in the fourth quarter. They get into good field goal range, and I just love it when I see all these other teams just hit. Or when they do a field goal, they kick it right off the freaking goalpost, because it remembers me back when the Bears did with Cody Parkey, the double doink. So when I see another team doink a field goal attempt off their uprights, it makes me feel happy because I get bad memories in my sleep just thinking back to that stupid wild card game. So Jason Myers dunked it up. I'm like, it would be a wild coincidence if they lose this game and they just lose, just like the Bears. They lose a chance at the playoffs. And they go to overtime. Seattle gets it first. They go 3-and-out. I'm like, Rams may actually play spoiler and they actually might beat these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield.
I was gonna say that this is the reason why I'm not really crazy about the Seahawks going into the playoffs. I mean, they pretty much just almost allowed the Rams to beat them. Now, granted, the Rams have played some really good football since grabbing Baker Mayfield as QB, but they got the Niners next. Now, granted, the last game they played the Niners, it was actually a pretty good game, but we'll see. I'm not sold on them Seahawks actually doing anything the first round of playoffs. Personally, I think the Niners are probably going to blast them.
Yep. Yeah, Rams get the ball back. It looked like Baker Mayfield is going to take a shot, and Van Jefferson is wide open. Mayfield put a little bit too much air on that ball. If he had just pretty much threw a dart, it would have been completed to Van Jefferson, and Van Jefferson would have literally walked into the end zone, and it would have ended Seattle playoffs. Right then and there. But because he put too much air on it, shockingly enough, former Lions, Keandre Diggs, intercepts the pass. Goes enough the distance to get them into good field position. He then feed the ball to Kenneth Walker Jr., who I think is going to be a stud of a running back for them. Puts them in position for field goal range. Jason Myers kicks the field goal, wins in overtime. Seattle, they managed to stay in the playoff race. They just need the Lions to do them a favor and beat them.
Yes, but
we'll get to that in a quick second. We got to talk about Cowboys Commanders.
Why you want to talk about this? This was an ass whooping. Sam Howell looked like Brady. He
really didn't do much. His statistics wise, he didn't do much. But it was mostly because
still though, man, the defense looked great. The Commanders just looked absolutely fantastic. Now I will say this: it didn't look like the Cowboys wanted that game. I'll say that.
Dak Prescott, he didn't I guess you could say, going to the playoff race, playing good. He threw like a pick six.
It just didn't like they were mentally in that game.
Yeah, I guess they feel confident that they can beat the Buccaneers, but this time in Tampa Bay. Not saying it's possible with the way Tampa Bay looks, but you don't want to be like that against Brady, especially
Nope.
in the playoffs. So
Nope. And then on top of that, man, you really never know how a team is going to snap out of having a average season and pretty much limp into the playoffs like the Buccaneers are doing. They could very well snap out of it and play solid football at home against the Cowboys.
yep.
So, and the Cowboys do not have great recent history when it comes to the playoffs. So,
Yeah. Then getting to the last game,
fingers crossed. Come on, Brady. All the fingers are crossed for the Buccaneers to beat the Cowboys. You know.
yep.
Fingers crossed.
Sunday night football game. Lions at the Packers. Now, I'm going to this game and I'm just like, so the Seattle Seahawks won. And I was thinking, well, if Seattle loses, then I feel like the Lions would play a little bit more passionate, especially with the fact that they got a chance with the playoffs on the line. And I'm like, the Seattle won. I don't know if Detroit's heart will be in it. But shockingly enough, Detroit's heart was definitely in it because, you know, Campbell he said something in his not his press conference, in his sideline interview where he's like, yeah, you know, I told the team pretty much we're here to beat the Packers and we're here to knock them out, which was funny because then coming out of halftime, the sideline reporter asked Matt LaFleur, like, yeah, Campbell told me that, you know, he's coaching this team to win, to beat you guys, to get you guys out of the playoffs. And Matt LaFleur gave that look like, all right, okay, we'll show them soon. And I could tell by his look. And I'm like, oh yeah, huh. But funny enough, at the end of the game, they didn't look like they gave a really good handshake. So leave it at that. Leave it at that. But somehow,
what was he supposed to do? Lose the game on purpose?
I don't know.
I mean, it was Rodgers who threw the pick.
Yeah. Shockingly
and on top of that, Jared Goff did not turn the ball over again.
Shockingly.
For the ninth straight game?
I was actually surprised that he didn't turn the game over. I was actually surprised the Lions didn't line in this situation.
Let's give Jared Goff some kind of credit.
Yeah.
Let's give him some credit. He has gone to a Super Bowl before. And he obviously has learned the value of keeping the football in Detroit.
Yep.
They have been playing very well. Now, can he take that into next season? We'll see. We'll see. But, I mean,
they're going to be a problem. As a Bears fan, I have to admit, they're going to be a problem.
Yeah, they're going to be a big problem. They're going to be a big problem. So it just depends on, you know, as far as now being a Bears fan, we just have to make sure we get that defense together. We got to get that defensive line together. We get that defensive line together. I think our corners currently constructed are good enough to be able to stay in front of Detroit's wide receivers, you know, but we got to get that defensive line together. So we'll see moving forward. I do like how Detroit is coming up. The Packers, on the other hand, coming down, and I love every minute of it.
Yeah. I was shocked also that the Lions won this game because the rigged refs, you know, the rigged Green Bay refs, they tried to get involved in the game and try to help Green Bay out. But surprisingly enough, the Lions made plays on the offense side of the ball, and the Packers, for all their credit, yeah, they made some big splashes, especially with Christian Watson a few times. But it wasn't enough. You know, there was Rodgers should have been picked 2 times. He only got picked 1 time on one of the interceptions. It got taken back because, hands to the face, when almost everybody on the offense and defensive line does hands to the face. But all right, whatever. I could care less. You know, pretty much the Lions just played hard-fought football. And at some point, you were always wondering, okay, the Packers might need to score a touchdown and maybe put this game away. And they did end up getting the touchdown, making it 16-13. But you always felt like if they get another touchdown or another field goal, it might be game over for the Lions.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers threw a back-breaking interception on a 3rd down with pressure. And the Lions ended up getting it. They ended up scoring. Well, they ended up scoring to take the lead. Then that's when Aaron Rodgers threw the interception. They pretty much drive out the clock. Shockingly enough, on 4th and 1, I'm thinking they're going to run the ball with Jamal Williams. No, they pass empty shotgun. Jared Goff just quick pass to DJ Chark. They clinch the game. They win the game. Because of this, they send the Packers out of the playoffs and everything. They don't make the playoffs because Seattle won. Seattle beat them the Lions early in the season. But because of this, the Packers are eliminated from playoff contention. Made my night the best night ever because every time I see the Packers just flop, it's great. The way Aaron Rodgers was walking off the field, I don't know. I think Jameson Williams asked him, like, hey, can we do a jersey swap with Aaron Rodgers? And Aaron Rodgers was like, I think I'm going to hold on to this for a bit. And the way he was walking off the field with Randall Cobb, got his arm around him and everything. Listen, I ain't going to say anything. I've already did this last year. I'm just going to say he will more than likely come back. Aaron Rodgers is this personality guy that he's playing off like, oh, this might be it for him in Green Bay. He either might be traded or he might retire. I don't know. Now, eye test alone, it looks like this guy might just retire from the sport of football because to me, he doesn't look like he enjoys playing football. But honestly, I would not be shocked if he just shows back up in Green Bay again.
You honestly think he's going to turn that money down?
No.
And retire? No. So I think Rodgers will be around just so as long as that 40, 45 plus million, that damn near $50 million he's getting. I think as long as he's still getting that, I think he'll show up to play. He did get some type of camaraderie with, Christian Watson. So he does have that number one guy. So we'll see what the Packers tend to do. Me personally, the Lions won this game because they stopped the run. They made the Packers one-dimensional, and they made the Packers one-dimensional in pretty predictable situations. So, and then on top of that, they were able to run the ball with Jamal Williams, who had 2 running touchdowns. So, I mean, again, and then on top of it, if he does happen to come back next year, we have no idea what the Bears are going to look like. But with all of this money and these draft picks that they got, the Bears are expected to be a better version of themselves than what they were this year. The Vikings are still expected to be where they are next year. The Lions are probably going to be a better version of what they were this last. Whereas the Packers, on the other hand, aging quarterback, just decent wide receivers, aging defense. So we'll see where everything goes. But I honestly think Rodgers will be back next year because he's not going to turn down $50 million and retire. Ain't no way in hell he's going to do that. I wouldn't.
If he does, though, I'll be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. But there's nothing on the horizon as a backup quarterback. Jordan Love just ain't it.
I just hope if he does retire, he does not come back to the Packers. They don't lose enough games to where they have a chance of potentially get a Caleb Williams.
Well, I just don't
kill me.
And I'm not sold on Caleb Williams.
Really?
No, I'm not sold on him. Look at his last 2 games.
Okay. True.
Last 2 games, man, he just wasn't impressive at all. Not for me, anyway.
Uh-huh.
I mean, but, everyone's going to sit up here and say, well, Heisman Trophy winner. Danny Werfel was a Heisman Trophy winner. Whoop-de-damn do.
Yeah, that is true. Detroit can, again, we may mention, Detroit can only go up from there, from what this is going to happen. I think NFC North might be a pretty tough division if all the teams are going to get better.
Yep. And keep in mind, the Jaguars, with improved quarterback play, went from 3-14 to 9-8. So the Bears can do that too.
Yep.
All they got to do is just put the right tools around Justin Fields on offense, starting with the offensive line, in my opinion. Put the right tools, for him on defense, starting with the defensive line. We just got to be able to win at the line of scrimmage, in my opinion, so we can actually bring this team forward to what we are this year to next.
Yeah. But overall, that was it of the NFL regular season. This regular season, it had its crazy moments, its crazy games.
Yeah.
One of the better regular seasons of this past year. But, as we move on to the playoff, we got the wild card round. So most of these games are literal rematches we've already seen in this year's regular season, with the exception of, I believe, wait, actually, let me check. Did the Jaguars and Chargers actually play earlier this year? I think they did.
Did they?
I'm checking. I'm checking. Yes, they did. And the Jaguars blew them out. They blew them out in LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And now they're in Jacksonville.
Yeah. So all these wildcard games are rematches of games from this literally this year. So
And the Chargers go in limping.
yeah. Um first game, first game on my list, obviously these have these designated set times. Games are gonna be from Sunday or Saturday to even Monday night, which I don't know why they put one game on Monday night, but okay. I guess they want to also hear Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. That's probably another thing.
Nationally televised game, man. You got to be able to earn that market share.
Well, hopefully they play on the Sunday because that's a pretty short week if you ask me.
True.
First game, New York Giants at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, these two teams played 3 weeks ago, and this game went down to the wire. Greg Joseph had to kick a 61-yard field goal to beat the Giants at home. And it is in Minnesota again. I feel like the Giants, they'll also be ready to play in an atmosphere like Minnesota again, especially a hostile. They showed it on the road. They took these guys to the limit. I think they'll make some adjustments that they made the last time they played, but I still feel like as well at the same time the Vikings will make their own adjustments from that game. I just feel like the Vikings, they're just a better team right now, but honestly, I would not be shocked if the Giants somehow pull the upset. I would not be shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked either. It's playoff football, so anything can happen. But this is going to be a good game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do I think we're going to see a shootout type game? No, I don't think the Giants' offense is anywhere near like that. If the Vikings do happen to score a lot of points, yeah, I think they'll probably run away with this game, but I just don't see it. So I still like the Vikings to win this game. I just don't think it'll be a
blowout.
No blowout.
Yeah, I'm going to go Minnesota in a close game too. All right. The Chargers at the Jaguars. This time it's going to be the opposite. Chargers are going to Jacksonville. It's going to be interesting. You would have to think the Chargers are going to make their adjustments against Jacksonville compared to the game they played earlier in September from what I saw. Man, this is gonna be a good quarterback battle. I'll say this. I feel like this is gonna be a game where whatever team makes the most mistakes, they're gonna lose this game. I'm gonna go Jacksonville. They're the home team. They feel like they're gonna be inspired, but I feel like this game's gonna be a lot closer than the regular season game.
Yeah.
We'll see. Let me see. Did Herbert actually play that game? I believe. Actually, I might actually need to read. I think okay. So if you remember back in September, that game Herbert played in the first game, but he was bruised up with those bruised ribs from the Chiefs game all those weeks ago. Oh crap! This actually makes it hard because he's not that hurt. You know what?
Well, while you think about it, let me go ahead and say that the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing the best football of probably anybody in the league right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and stay on that train and go with Jacksonville at home. Doug Peterson has got a lot of experience in playoff football. I'm pretty sure Brandon Staley has some experience in playoff football, but not as a head coach.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars for two reasons. One, they're at home, and two, we have no idea how Williams and Bosa are going to perform with what they suffered this past game.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm gonna stay on that bandwagon because they are one of the teams that I've liked all year long.
Yeah. You know,
And I love me some A-Bear. You know I love me. I call him Dan Marino Jr. I love him. But if he ain't got his number one target,
yeah.
that's a problem.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go with the safe pick. I'm just gonna go Jacksonville, the home team.
Okay.
I just feel like the Chargers, they also sometimes put themselves in deficits where it's hard for them to get out of. We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers win this game, but I'm gonna go with the Jacksonville Jaguars as the home team. So it'll be interesting to see what this game does. Next
Yep.
game. AFC North battle. We saw this game earlier today, but I didn't watch a lick of this game, and that was the Ravens versus the Bengals. Now, again, we made a mention earlier in this video. We don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to play.
I don't care if he does play. No, he still has that limited wide receiving core. And the Bengals is probably one of the best teams in the league, let alone the AFC. I don't care. And it's in Cincinnati.
Yep.
The defense only keep them around so long. But that offense can't get you. I mean, the offense has a hard time getting, 14 points, let alone 20.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going Bengals. I think the Bengals win by 2 scores at least.
Bengals are a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah. They, again, I don't know. Well, didn't the Ravens beat them earlier this year?
And if they did, it was early in the year.
Yeah.
Probably one of those first couple games.
So,
but right now, Bengals is one of the top 3 teams in the league.
Yep.
I think only the Chiefs and Bills are better.
That is true.
And before Hamlin went down.
Actually, I don't know about the Chiefs because they beat the Chiefs a lot. They have the Chiefs.
Well, I'm just saying, they're up there with the Chiefs and Bills.
Yep.
They're up there with the Chiefs and Bills. And then on top of it, they were up against the Bills when Hamlin went down.
That is true.
So, I mean, we could be potentially seeing the best team in the league here with the Bengals.
Yeah.
So no, there's nope. Bengals win.
Yeah. Next game is Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay beat them earlier in the season in Dallas. They were kind of kicking their tails around, to be honest. I know Tampa Bay's offense is shaky at times, but I still expect them to win this game. It's just Tom Brady. I don't bet against that guy in the playoffs. So, yeah, and then the Cowboys. It's like Stephen A. Smith says, they're always an accident waiting for happen. When you least expect something bad to happen, well, it happens for them. Dak Prescott, he didn't have a good game, and you obviously would think he needs to have a good game against a very stout defense. I definitely envision him throwing an interception. He's definitely going to throw an interception in this game. And it might be a back-breaking one at best, too. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
Dak Prescott has not played very well the last 2 or 3 games. He hasn't. Yeah. He played horrible against the Commanders. Whereas the Buccaneers, at least they're winning. So I'm going with the Buccaneers. I just don't think I just don't think they're gonna all of a sudden put it together, in somebody else's building. Now they may wind up winning, maybe. I just don't think they had an opportunity to play for the number 1 seed in the NFC and got blasted.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Maybe they had a factor. They were looking at the scoreboard of the Philadelphia Eagles-Giants game. They're like, you know what? Who cares?
Maybe. But if that's the case, why leave Prescott in and allow him to go 14 for 37?
Yeah.
That he's not playing well.
Yeah.
He's not playing well. He's got a wide receiver core. He's got 2 studs at running back. Got an offensive line. He's just not playing well.
Yep.
And do you honestly think going into Tampa Bay for the first game of the playoffs with the way they playing, I mean, you think they can all of a sudden just snap out of it and get it together? Because the Buccaneers can run the ball. So I
Yeah.
don't think I think the Buccaneers are going to win this game,
Mhm.
and it's going to be a close one. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game. If it's a high scoring game, then yeah, the Cowboys will probably wind up winning.
Yeah.
But if it's one of them 17-14 or going into the fourth quarter, 10-9 or something like that, I like the Buccaneers. And that's my pick.
Yeah. You would expect Micah Parsons to eat a lot with the fact that compared to week one, the Buccaneers offensive line is a little bit weaker than it was back in week.
Correct.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And the Buccaneers, for me, and we've talked about this before, that's been for me the problem with the Buccaneers, their offensive line. The offensive line have just not played they have played horrible, but it's mostly because, their top three offensive linemen, maybe two offensive linemen, just have been hurt and not playing. So we'll see how they iron those problems out. But I still like the Buccaneers to win this game, provided it is a low-scoring game. I think if they can keep it close going into the fourth quarter, and you know how Brady is, if he got that last drive, if he has the ball last in a close game, I like Brady.
Yep. Next game, third time they're playing Seattle and San Francisco. This time it's going to be in San Francisco again. I don't know. I guess I'll have to look throughout the days leading into this game about Jimmy Garoppolo's, I guess, help because there's a prediction that he could come back. So we'll see, but it more than likely will be Brock Purdy. When he played against them in Seattle, it was a closer game. I could attribute that to the fact they played in Seattle, but even then, it was a close game. But San Francisco still had their way with Seattle. Obviously, that defense is stout. They're going to get after Geno Smith. They just barely got by the Rams, to be honest, in overtime. I won't say this game could be a blowout. It could be, especially if San Francisco's running the ball effectively and everything. We'll see what happens, but Seattle has no chance in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think Seattle has a chance either. But at the same time, just like I said before, I'm not really crazy about Brock Purdy. He has played some, average to below average teams. And yes, he has beaten them. Now, do we think Deebo Samuel is coming back?
Ooh, that could be the
maybe.
case.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they'll go ahead and keep him down for one more week, thinking that the 49ers are good enough to beat the Seahawks without him. So I mean, we'll see. Do we think Garoppolo's coming back? Maybe it's the same thing. But if you go into the playoffs with Brock Purdy, then you got to take him all the way through. I mean, that's just my personal feeling. You got to run all the way through with him, because if you do a quarterback change,
everything up.
If you do a quarterback change and the guy is healthy when you take Purdy out and he's not injured, then you could seriously mess with chemistry. So, but at the same time, though, Kyle Shanahan is a really good play caller. He's been to a couple of Super Bowls already, so he has experience in playoff football. So yeah, I just don't think that no matter who they have at quarterback, they should beat the Seahawks.
Yeah. It will be interesting. San Francisco goes all the way to the Super Bowl and win it all this year, because then that creates a quarterback controversy.
Maybe. But even if they go back and lose, it'll still create one. Even if they win a couple games,
that is true.
If they go to the NFC Championship game, it's still going to be a quarterback controversy. Because keep in mind, they got a third QB in the mix as well too, who they started out the year with. So I think it's going to be QB controversy anyway in San Francisco.
And then the last game, we're getting Dolphins versus Bills 3. This time in Buffalo again. The first two matchups were great.
Okay, is Tua gonna play?
I don't know. We don't know if Tua's gonna play. Nobody knows
if Tua plays. You know what? Now that I think about it, I don't care. If Tua plays, maybe. Tua don't play, Bills winning this game.
I still even think with Tua playing, I still think the Bills are gonna win. I
They'll
just
play competitively. Oh, wait, I'm just saying the Dolphins will play competitively, but
yeah, if I see Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson starting, it's
especially Skylar Thompson. No,
yeah,
no way. They cannot play the Bills the way they played the Jets and come up with a W.
Yeah,
because the Bills are going to put points on the board.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going Bills. I just feel like this man, talk about a year that if they could win the Super Bowl, this is the
Yep.
year for them. If everything that happened to them, especially with the DeMar Hamlin situation,
Yep.
this is the year for them. I would honestly be quite underwhelmed and let down if they actually don't get to the Super Bowl this year.
Yep. This whole year has been set up for the Bills to get to the final game. From when they made the overtime rule changes, after what happened to the Bills and Chiefs last year, to DeMar Hamlin, all the injuries, Josh Allen throwing all the picks early on, everything is set up for the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. Everything. If anything, everything is set up for probably the Bills and Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, because the Bengals, unfortunately, their third seed, they're going to have to play one of those guys to get into the AFC Championship game. So we'll see. The Bills are set up quite nicely, if they can be healthy, to go to the Super Bowl.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing else really to say. Again, it was a great NFL season. I'm definitely looking forward to this year's playoffs, especially on the AFC side. We got Jesus, quarterbacks out the wazoo for this year's AFC playoffs.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see where they go. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of the NFC. Honestly, just giving my predictions, who could come out of the NFC, I'm just going to go with the safe pick. I think San Francisco is going to be the team that comes out of the NFC. They were just the best overall team. AFC, I'm going to go probably Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm not sold on Purdy, so I'm gonna say the Eagles.
Okay.
I mean, if they're fully healthy, the Eagles are still the best team in football, but they got to be fully healthy. So we'll see. But I like the Eagles and Bills.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, we're gonna get after. Catch you guys in the next video. Till then, guys, we'll be back with NFL playoff recap later. Till then, guys, peace.